Hello, and welcome to It Starts With a Question. I'm your host, Crystal Williams, president of Rhode Island School of Design. I'm a poet, essayist, and daughter of Detroit who is curious about how others experience the world and how their unique experiences shape how they move through it. Throughout my life, people have often told me that they feel like they can tell me anything. I think that's because, at root, I seek connection and deep understanding. Maybe it's the poet in me, but I've always been most interested in learning about the why over the what or how, so we can crack open the core of the matter and get to the heart of what makes us who we are. For me, it starts with a question, so we might learn what else do we dream for this human project. Today I'm chatting with mixed media artist Rose B. Simpson, a member of the Santa Clara Pueblo, who works across materials and genres to explore the impact of living in the postmodern and postcolonial world. Before she studied ceramics at RISD, Rose earned an MA in creative writing from the Institute of American Indian Arts and a bachelor's degree from the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. And her work is part of numerous museum collections. Her work has also been featured in the Whitney Biennial, the 2025 Hawaii Triennial, and she has been selected for the upcoming 2026 Sydney Biennial. So it's been a little less than 20 years. 25 years? No.
15.
Oh, I was doing poet math.
That's fine. No worries. Feels like it.
Which I know.
It really does.
Does it really feel? It feels like a longer time than 15 years.
It feels like a dimensional shift. It feels like a new chapter.
How many new chapters between the time you left here and now?
Oh my goodness.
Many.
Yeah. I mean, I became a mom. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, that would change
extraordinary
everything.
kid.
She's pretty cool.
She's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one dimensional shift. What are other ones that you've had?
Oh, wow. I got picked up by Jessica Silverman Gallery.
How long ago was that?
That would be in 2017, maybe?
Yeah, so
yeah, and that was a major change in my life.
Yeah.
And that was like, had my daughter, I actually had a solo show at the Wheelwright Museum in New Mexico, and I had been resisting it because I don't like being in Native-only spaces. And so because it was like the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian, I didn't want to do it. And so I said, I will do it as long as you let me sort of make a room of sort of satire around the collective nature of culture, like the collecting of culture, and they let me. And the show actually was really incredible.
Why don't you like being in Native-only spaces?
I really, really desperately want to be seen as an artist that is of my culture, but not representing or defined by.
Does that feel constraining?
Very.
Yeah.
And I come from New Mexico, and you know, the tourist culture and all that. You know, as a little kid, I was running around the Pueblo, and there were like tour buses of tourists coming, taking pictures of us, right?
As if in a zoo.
And so I'm always, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to come to RISD was to try to redefine who I was outside of the context of New Mexico. And it was incredible in all the ways that it should have been.
I'm still fascinated by this because I hear this narrative from people of many different cultures.
Yeah.
Right? African-American, I want to be a poet, not just a Black poet. I want to be a painter, not just a Chicano painter. I want to, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it really is just as simple as not wanting to be constrained by or defined by, or is there something else there?
I mean, I think, you know, it's as simple as, you know, in literature, if someone is explained as wearing a Black shirt or whatever, they're assumed to be white, unless otherwise defined, right? And I think it's just simply that, that there's an assumption that people are of that culture unless it is explained that they're not.
Explicitly so.
Yeah. And so, you know, I'd love to, and I've been in experiences and I've had the privilege to really be supported in spaces that I felt seen as an individual who just happens to be from a place that gives me a unique perspective. And I really appreciate all those moments. And I'm sort of navigating a couple of situations that I'm getting myself into that are very Indigenous centered and trying to figure out how I can maintain some of the respect that I know is possible in those spaces.
Is there intra-group tension around this? Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. How do you navigate that?
When I think there's been lack and there's been sort of a culture that has experienced immense lack, that then there can be a lot of competition for what there is. And and I understand it and I have compassion for it. But because of that, there is a sort of a nature of mistrust and secretive nature around it. And I see myself doing that too sometimes. So I'm also a part of that. But I also feel like I would love to see our communities feel confident enough to have the strength and resources, I'd say internal, confident and resources to be able to have critical discussion about where we are communally moving within the Native art scene, for lack of a better way of saying that.
I mean, it's an interesting topic to me because so I'm a poet, and in that discipline, also not a discipline where there are lots of resources, right? Broadly poetry, and then the subgroup of African-American poets. And it's been some time since I've been enmeshed in that, thank goodness. Actually, there's a kind of freedom, and I want to talk to you about freedom in a moment, but there's a sense of, or there used to be a sense that, there were maybe 7 poets who were like the chosen ones. And so then there are all these questions like, who gets to choose? Who are the deities that are sitting up on the mound choosing? Why have the people who've been chosen, why are they chosen? And then those 7 people are the ones who sort of get all of the awards and get all of the accolades and the . And sometimes it's that they're very good at what they do. And sometimes it's simply that they were a beloved student of whichever, Zeus-like person sitting up on the top of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that just causes lots of tension and jealousy and turmoil, and on a more personal level, as an artist, a kind of sense that, one questions one's own value if you allow the market to define what value is. And I'm interested, Rose, in thinking through with you 2 questions. One, yesterday you spoke really eloquently as our commencement speaker about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. And 2, how do you think about, with the imposter syndrome, the value of your work? Like, is your work actually worth? Does it stand up to the acclaim you've had?
So I'm on the board of trustees of the Institute of American Indian Arts.
Yes. Yeah.
And recently, recently as in like the past 5 years, one of the professors, incredibly intelligent person, has been working on, his name's Stephen Wall, Dr. Stephen Wall, has been working with the school to reframe the concept of Indigenous success. So what is success from an Indigenous perspective? Because when we're working with the higher education Commission, et cetera, like all the standards for academic success.
The accreditation, et cetera.
Exactly. And then applying it to indigenous communities, which education inherently was a colonial project. It was intended to be a genocidal tool. So this is sensitive. This is a very sensitive subject. And so when I grew up in Santa Clara Pueblo, and one of the things is that if someone goes off and gets a Western education, they are not necessarily the best candidate for tribal leadership. Because in order to be a leader in the community, you have to be of the community, you have to know everyone, you have to participate throughout the entire year. To leave, get a Western education, then return and think you know what's best for the community is a disservice. And so as someone who is attempting to make a Western educational system work for Native communities.
Within a completely different paradigm.
Right. And I think that, I've been impressed by how they've approached that investigation of what is success for Native people and how we can apply it to the school. How do we, is success mean they return to their communities, they become tribal leaders, they become of service to their communities, rather than what would be Western terms of success might be, you leave your community, you become financially successful away from your ancestral homelands, or in a lot of cases where you've been relocated and that's where your family and community exists, right? And so I think about this often because when I was a kid, the tribal school was going to move me from 3rd grade to 6th grade because I was advanced. So my mom did the right thing and she pulled me out of school. She said, I'm going to homeschool you. And she homeschooled me and my brother until 9th grade. Wow. When we were rotten teenagers and wanted something else.
She was sick of you. She was like, you know what?
She was sick of us.
Get out of here. You're annoying.
Yeah.
Brats.
Yeah, totally. So what's interesting about that is that my mom had a permaculture institute and she did cultural preservation. We lived without electricity. We grew all our own food. We lived sustainably off the land. My brother was talking to one of the elders in the community, and they were talking about their childhood. And my brother's childhood was in the 80s. Yeah. And this other man's childhood was in like the 1920s and 30s. Wow. And they were very similar. Wow. But the gift of this, is, I'll return to this, is that we were presented with the opportunity of complete economic sustainability, that no dependability on the outside world. So deeply embedded in these 2 children that my mother decided to pull out of school and teach how to grow our food, how to live off the land, how to be sustainable, also how to participate in ceremonies where spirituality gives strength to the community and a connection to the world itself. The value system is of something else. And so when we went to school, and when I ended up going to Indian boarding school for high school, it was an option. It was an option. I chose to do it. Every class that I walked into was because I wanted to. So I was in my agency. I didn't have to if I didn't want to.
This reminds me of your child.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what I in looking at my life and the wildness that my life has been, and that I have loved education. I have soaked it up. I've enjoyed every opportunity to learn something. I saw school and education as this buffet of information that was just there for me to eat and to enjoy.
And curiosity leading you through all of that.
Right. And it was me choosing. And my mom was so mad because me and my brother would just make her go to another graduation. She was like, oh, my kids are horrible. Yeah. So I was in my agency and I was making that active decision to put myself in those. I wasn't in a victim space to it. And so even though in these educational contexts, I've had some really incredibly despicable experiences.
Yeah.
In the moment, I knew I didn't have to be there.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about is a kind of freedom, right? And if you're not, I would imagine, if you're not bound by the values or the system in which you have decided to participate for the moment, if you're not bound by those criteria,
right,
then you can just sort of look at them and like, whatever. Yeah.
Or take notes.
Take notes. Exactly. You know, it's so interesting. I went to grad school as a person who's a little, actually not even a little, a lot older than a lot of the folks who were in grad school with me. And I was lucky in that I had come from a community of poets where I'd been performing for years. I had a sense of who I was as a poet. And I went into grad school and had literally got my first book contract the month before I started grad school.
Oh, yeah.
So it's, in some ways, it's the same. I had the sense that I'm here. I already have the trappings that people are trying to, like, aspiring to. I really just need this piece of paper to get to the next place I want to be. So this is just a pit stop.
Or like, for instance, one of my really good friends ended up going to school for film.
Yeah.
And she'd call me and she would just be like, the people in my cohort are impossible. There's like systems are racist. I'm struggling. I'm hurting. This is hard. And I was like, well, that's why you're there, honey bunny. Right. Like, it's a petri dish. It's an experiment of sometimes the worst parts of the world out there. And if you can put yourself in that and test your craft against, you know, actually the person that's the most despicable in your cohort is actually the biggest blessing for when you get out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you already have that muscle built of how to navigate that.
But okay, so I agree with that.
Yeah, that's one perspective.
That's one perspective. Because
the
other perspective is that she shouldn't have to deal with that despicable person, right? That despicable person should have to deal with their own stuff and their own little miasma of misery over there on the side.
Right.
And so how do you think about those two things, those two ways of viewing the experience of being non-majority in these spaces?
I feel like this is us getting there. You know, like, yes, you're absolutely right. It shouldn't be there in the classroom. It shouldn't be out there in the world either. It shouldn't be anywhere, right? And this is us making that true, in a sense. And so the people that were difficult in my educational experiences, it was unjust. It was unfair. You know, there were moments I cried because how come I can't be in the space learning in a safe way, right?
Yeah.
How come I can't enter these spaces and I still have to navigate these things, right? And it doesn't feel fair, right? In those moments where you don't feel it's fair, and I really feel that's still valid. It's valid.
But your tears were about fairness.
I felt it was about fairness, yeah.
So that's different than some of what I hear from other young people, which is sometimes it's about fairness. But it's often, and this maybe gets us to this question about imposter syndrome. Sometimes, you know, you're 17. Right. You didn't grow up growing your own beans. With your mama.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Right? You've grown up in a Western system.
Right.
You're trying to figure out who you are as a human.
Right.
Who you want to be around.
Right.
How you want to be. And your art, you believe, is you, which I have issues with, but okay.
Right.
And somebody comes along
that person
Mm-hmm.
and attacks.
Mm.
Sometimes the attack is soft, sometimes it's not, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an attack. And you experience it that way. And you experience the attack as being about your personhood.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
And you don't have the agency or even the maturity yet, as you shouldn't, because you're 17 or 18.
Right,
you're
right.
not 45. So how do you think about that? I mean, you're on the board of an art school. It's a different kind of art school though, right?
Absolutely.
It's a-
Yeah. Different issues
Yeah.
to navigate, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, but if you're talking to young people, what do you tell them?
What I would want to say to me
Yeah.
in those moments where I was crushed by something or someone or some, you know, I felt like it was the end of the world if I couldn't get through a feeling or an experience or something difficult, is that I really feel like this world we're living in is tells us all it's all about you, right?
Yeah.
And there is a sense of entitlement and self-obsession almost. I mean, like social media, et cetera, is very much like about this idea of building identity and having it be liked and appreciated and seen by other people. And sometimes I think about what it was like before mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we had water to see ourselves in, that was it, right? And that our reflection or our understanding of ourselves were a different kind of feedback, right? It was almost like our service was more important than how we looked, or our obsession with identity is fascinating right now. Like, I think it's a beautiful thing to self-reflect. And I wonder how that looks in a different way where the context has changed, right? And this is where I feel like I want so badly to connect with people from a universal and even galactic perspective, right? It's like, can we remember how to see each other from that place that was devoid of mirrors, right? And that we can actually access a strength and a power from something that's much bigger than ourselves. And that in itself, inherently, takes away the weight of a bad critique. Takes away the weight.
It takes the ego,
Yeah.
the self out of
Right.
the act of being an artist. It just sort of elevates the whole thing. It actually elevates it.
I am absolutely aware of the privilege that I had growing up the way it did, right? And the fact that I have a home to go to.
Is your mom still living?
Yeah.
Have you thanked her?
Oh yeah. And she's still farming, and she's still building, and she's still a mite, a feat of creation.
A phenom.
Yeah. And Naranjo women of Santa Clara Pueblo are notorious. Yeah. They're very powerful women.
Just like what? Cantankerous. Like, no, we're clear.
Yeah. And I think about it often, like what makes us, I have a theory, but that's another wormhole. Because there was actually a group of people that was a little bit south of Santa Fe called the Tano people that were entirely wiped out by the Spanish. And the way that they were different is they had whole bakeries, they were experimental in architecture, they had tattoos on their faces, which was not like the other tribes. So when those Tano people, the last of those surviving people went to two different tribes. And one was Jemez Pueblo and the other was Santa Clara Pueblo.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the older ruin sites of where we came from, there's these chunks that are like off. Like everything else is nicely put together. And there's
like you all do that.
A wing.
We've got this.
A wing of absolute mayhem. And the pottery is all experimental and like melting. And I'm always like, what was with this group here that was different than everybody else? And my theory is that our specific family have that descendant line of like Tano mayhem.
Has anybody ever done like real research on this, or
A little bit, yeah.
and is there? I mean,
Is there some?
like, is there some validity to your theory?
There might be, yeah.
I like the theory.
No,
This is
I
like-
wanted to get like a T-shirt with one of these pieces of pottery, like that you'd find shards out in the hills that are all like experimental and melted and different. And put that on that shirt and then say Tano Pride. Like.
Nice. So I still want to talk about
imposter syndrome.
But
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
ask this question. Because this is true about RISD.
Yeah.
It is true about this place where people, everybody's just, slightly off. We tell it slant. Right? Which is an Emily Dickinson, right? It's just everything's slant. When you got here, did that feel to you familiar? I mean, outside of the fact that it was a sort of very Western.
Yeah. No, I think that I saw the beauty in the value of honoring the eccentricities of us that are powerful. And I'm like, wow, this is incredible that this is a thing even.
Yeah.
And creation, right? So, there's that, like, wow, like, and when you find the thing and then keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it even further, it becomes, it can be absolutely spectacular.
I don't know if you saw yesterday during commencement, you were sitting on the stage as our honorary degree recipient and our commencement speaker. And there were lots of, 700, 800 almost students walking across the stage. But there was a woman who, instead of the black robe,
Wore pink. Yeah.
She wears pink every day.
Oh.
All pink. I just love this. I think it's like such an encapsulation of one's own assertion and clarity.
Right.
And just, I am not deviating. I have a hat, a cap that I got from one of those Facebook ads got me, I was like, I'm going to buy that actually. So I clicked on it, and the cap says, be you, they'll adjust. It's like my favorite hat ever. Yeah.
And I think we're coming full circle to the point where that is so that we recognize that that's so important, right? And that it goes further than that obsession with self and remembering that whatever you are, that authentic thing is an important facet to creation. That we can't evolve as a species. We can't even survive as a species if you don't wear pink.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out why, but that's going to be important.
Yeah.
Right? And so the more that you can understand your authenticity from a space of recognition and deep recognition that's beyond likes, right? Whether it's external or online. Have you ever heard that term, don't yuck my yum?
Yes, I have.
I think about that a lot because it's like, don't yuck my yum, but what is my yum?
Yeah, what is my yum?
What is my yum? And like, if my yum isn't solid and I'm not certain with that, then I'm going to actually be more defensive. But if my yum is very, very clear and I know exactly what it is and I don't have to fight, it's just no. It's a simple, clear boundary. Don't yuck my yum.
So yesterday you talked at length about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And you talked about it, Rose, you asserted that imposter syndrome is actually a strength, something to hold close and to honor. Did I hear that right?
No, I really feel like when I have all the answers, I will have nowhere else to go, right? Like the journey's ended. And I feel like as long as I have some sort of level of discomfort, in a sense, that I will be asking questions. And I'll keep asking those questions. And that discomfort is going to change through life. It manifests itself in different ways. And I feel like a lot of attention has been coming to me recently. And I have been aware of the capacity to hear or feel it. For instance, yesterday, I was leaving the graduation, the commencement ceremony. And I was feeling like, how do I feel inside of myself? Like, what's going on inside my system, right? And I was feeling a joy that I hadn't felt before. And I was feeling like I had been acknowledged for something. And I was thinking about, they say, it's an honorary degree. You're not allowed to call yourself doctor, right? Like only real, people that do the work can do that. And I was like, well,
tell Maya Angelou that, because she called herself doctor.
Nice. And yeah, like going to school to become a doctor or to get a doctorate is a lot of work and a very deep investment.
Yeah.
And people who are honored for their work have been seen as doing that work inherently, inevitably in their life work. And I was just thinking about, let go what it means, Rose, and see if you can allow it in. And see if you can allow that acknowledgement into your system.
I mean, are you saying that because it generally you're sort of like
mistrusting? If someone says something nice, I don't trust it. I don't believe it. I try and slough it off so that it doesn't affect me. Right?
Is that the imposter syndrome, or is that something deeper?
I mean, I think it comes from honestly, colonial violence and a lot of other things, right? And that is genetically been embedded into my system of worthlessness, of a deep, deep worthlessness. And I've been navigating that, my whole life. So if I get any kind of accolades, I don't feel like it's real, or I trust it, or that I somehow cheated the system.
Are there moments where outside of external accolades, you feel like,
yeah,
this is actually right. This is good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to unpack that, because I had 4 tons of gravel delivered to my driveway, and they dumped it in a big pile and drove away. And it was right where you drive in and out. And I was like, uh-oh, like I gotta move this.
Yeah.
And I was standing there with a shovel, and he looks at me and he was like, I hope you have more than a shovel. And drives away.
Like you need to pick up with a...
And I was like, it was me and my 8-year-old daughter. And I was like, well, we're gonna move this gravel. And so like, I actually have a small tractor.
Yeah.
But it still was like 4 hours of like shoveling and tractor work to actually get it so you could drive in and out of the driveway. And I felt
put it there?
Accomplished. I felt pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, well, that's to be proud of.
But I'm like, I understand, and I'm aware that like self-worth in my family comes from really, really hard work and being capable.
I guess that causes me to wonder whether or not there's ever a moment, given what you just said, where you don't make art.
Once upon a time, actually my mom was doing a project in Hawaii, and I quit school for like a semester to go live with her and help her work on this project. And I was wondering why a lot of art doesn't come out of Hawaii in the same way. And I was like, that's because people are happy, right? It was my theory at the time. I was like, people aren't making art because they're at peace, right? In a certain way. And that there isn't something to fix or something to figure out or something that's sitting wrong that needs to be investigated. And I was like, I wonder if I ever get to a point where I've healed myself, that I don't have to do it anymore. But I do think that, I'm planting strawberries. Consider.
Wait, are you speaking metaphorically right now, or are you like actually literally?
No, literally.
Okay.
Like I'm always considering how to navigate the world aesthetically, and if that aesthetic is how to apply my yum in all walks of life, right? If it's like how I walk up and down the street and how I, pay respect for the food that I'm about to eat. Like all of it is part of that challenge of being a little bit more aware of the moment. Because if the more aware of each moment I am, the better decisions I'll make and the more I will be following my yum. And the less that yum is going to be someone else's idea of what that means and more authentically true to what that means for me. And I've noticed that the more I find if I can let go of all the judgments or ideas that I've been told are what is right or what is yummy, the more I investigate and find what is truly satisfying to me actually is very similar to our ancestral ways of being. And that it does feel respectful. Actually, what is delicious is being respectful. And actually what is delicious is being considerate. And actually what is delicious is being in service.
So you're writing a poem right now.
But it's not like, I think like commercials and this world of like mine, take. Like, oh, what is delicious is it's all about me and how much can I get? And I'm like, I think so much about like shopping and like how the capitalistic world is like, we are hunter-gatherers. We want to have enough for the winter. We want to make sure we have enough so that when the food isn't growing outside, that we can make it through until the spring. And that's an inherently human thing to do. But when we have it all year, every single day, we have access to abundance or perceived abundance, then we take more than we need.
What you're saying to me is so interesting because it causes me to just think about the framing that you've just given us for thinking about one's life.
Yeah.
Grow and have what you need.
Yeah.
And be content with that. Sufficient.
What is sufficient?
And what is sort of contentment making?
And what is success?
And what is success? Just to bring us out of the ether and right back down. I know I saw you on Instagram. I saw Rose B. Simpson. But do you pay any attention to that?
I do it.
You do?
That's me.
Are you on there frequently?
Not as infrequent as I like to be. Yeah. I am an only parent. Yeah. And so Instagram is often my social world. I don't get out much, for lack of a better word. So I'm like, I have a lot of friendships that I maintain that way. But it is a closed account, which is wild because I have pictures of my kid. Oh, it is? Mm-hmm. It's a very strange thing to navigate. But I do feel like I grew up without internet. Like I think I'm the last generation that remembers the world without internet. And so it's like, oh, I can be aware of a difference because I can hear electricity. I grew up without it. I can hear it. Yeah, so this room right now is very noisy. Yeah, I can hear electricity. So it's similar to like, can you hear the internet? And can you hear like, Can you hear the internet? I can't use Bluetooth because it hurts my body. You know, I worry about young people and especially young artists. Right. And I worry that the freedom that you were talking about earlier, right, that they don't have that, like that the internet itself and the social media in particular in relation to their work, you know, you start on a pathway asking a series of questions as an artist. Yeah. And you sort of muck around and figure some stuff out. Yeah. And you think, okay, like with the tools I had at this particular moment, right? And then you start maybe thinking about a different set of questions. And you take those skills and you build them but you're now asking different questions. But those questions
aren't linear. So they lead you back over here. You go zoom, zoom, zoom.
Ideally, right?
Ideally.
Ideally.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But if you get addicted to likes because of this particular set of questions and this particular set of outcomes, it becomes this become more difficult to zing over that way.
What's kind of wild about social media is it's documenting everything. I need to be able to change my mind, and I need to be able to say, I thought that then, I no longer think that. Like I am going to, creator willing, I grow since then. And that because of the events that have happened since then, I am a new being, I'm a new person. And I have the right to think differently and to navigate my world differently. And ideally, that's with more consciousness and more information, right? As we grow and evolve. And that I don't want to shame that person. I don't want to judge that. I don't want to be like, oh, what's wrong with you? You didn't think right. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, actually, I have so much compassion for what I thought was so serious in that moment, and I sure hope that just because I got a whole bunch of likes for something I did, I'm not stuck doing that. That I'm able to say, no, this doesn't work for me anymore. Even if it works for you, it's not working for me.
Would you have, so this is maybe not a useful question for a person like you with your background, having grown up as you grew up. Well, singular, right?
Yeah, singular.
And full of agency from the time you were little. Would you have felt that way when you were 20? Could you have felt that?
I think I was a little bit more stuck in my ways. I think I was a little bit more driven by my beliefs and what I was very stubborn.
And very convinced that you were right.
I was very convinced I was right. Yeah. And I was doing things that, at the time, I was very, very intent on making art for everyone, which meant lots of spray paint and lots of trains.
Oh, so you and your august fellow alum Shepard Ferry have in common. Yeah. And the spray paint and the trains and art for the people.
I mean, there's things about it. Like, I'm very sensitive to spray paint now. I can't do spray paint. But I feel like that was an important step and I'm glad I made it through. But at the time, I thought that was everything. It was my world and it was the only thing that mattered. And it was, my friends and the community that was the most important thing. So I'm driving. So I grew up in Clara Pueblo, which is north of Santa Fe. Went to high school at the Santa Fe Indian School. And then I lived in Albuquerque for undergrad. I went to UNM. And so Albuquerque was my home for a while. And it was when I discovered who I was. And I was like, this is who I am as a person. This is what matters to me. At that time of life where, like in undergrad, where you're discovering social circles and belief systems that define you, right? And so for me, I was like painting trains. I was in all this music. I was doing a lot of underground hip hop, and we were doing all these shows and traveling around and recording in closets and hot, sweaty. You know what I mean? It was great.
Yeah.
And now that I'm driving down to Albuquerque to work in my buddy's shop. And I'm just remembering the smell of hot walls in Albuquerque in the spring. And I'm remembering that freedom that a young person feels, that I am now finding the bricks of who I am and I'm building myself and this is what I believe and this is what I care about.
Yeah.
And it's everything to me. And I was like, this is where I learned what love meant to me. This is where I learned what dedication meant to me. This is where I learned what yummy meant to me. There was nothing like freestyling and finding records and making beats in this dingy apartment with my buddies who I love and just sitting there drawing in black books. And there was a world that was so important to me, right? And as I returned to that, I find so much compassion for that being, and she's not me anymore.
Right.
And it's almost like I was thinking about coming back to Providence, and it's like running my hand on a wall that I passed every day. And it's still the same wall with the same grate. Mm-hmm. And it's like, remember the me that did this and walked along this wall. And I love her so much.
She was all right.
And I'm not her anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not her anymore. But I'm going to hold every chapter of my story with the utmost compassion, because I was just this little toddler figuring out my legs. And every time, I changed my mind and moved a city, or changed my mind and decided now I'm going to do punk rock.
Yeah.
And that happened,
Yes.
right? And then traveled all over, singing punk rock in all these native circles in the Southwest. And I love that, kid.
It's amazing.
Like every time you start a new chapter, it's a dimensional shift. And it's almost simultaneous. It's like now in this chapter of our lives, the decisions we're making is changing the truth of what was happening when we were 20.
And I think what you've just said is an incredible gift to young people, because it opens for them the aperture of what not only is possible, but what is probable.
Right.
Which is that along the journey, there are multiple dimensions that you will inhabit. And what I hear you saying on some level is, if you can inhabit them fully and with some sort of joy and agency.
Right.
Well, it's been so lovely to talk to you.
Yeah. And I don't know if we figured out,
We didn't figure out all the things, but we figured
that's
out a
the
bunch.
point.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly.
If we figured it out, then
We'd be boring as hell.
what would bring joy to the rest of the day?
Yeah, nothing. And also we'd be boring.
It would be boring. Yeah, we'd be all.
Rose, what did you tell us your name yesterday during the commencement address?
I did.
Will you say it for me again?
My name is Kha'p'o, and we say Kha'p'o, which means this is the name that I'm borrowing for this lifetime as a woman.
And what does it mean?
Cloud flower. Yeah.
Thank you. I love talking to you.
It's a specialty.
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Rose, for joining me for this conversation. I'll be thinking about the beauty of our eccentricities and charting one's own powerful path. Join us next time for more inspiration and insight on It Starts With a Question. In the meantime, learn more about Rose B. and see some of her fabulous work at rosebsimpson.com, and follow me on Instagram at Crystal Ann Williams. Learn more about RISD at risd.edu.